Hello everyone, it's good to talk to you guys again. It's been a bit since I've rambled and stuff. Last time was the open DnD stuff, and before that it was me talking about D&D. But the open D&D thing didn't get a lot of views, so I don't expect everyone to watch it, and the one before that also didn't do that well. So we're just gonna talk about it today. Just talk about it. Stuff. I like rambling. I apologize. I have my Pepsi. This cup is Pepsi. Trust me. Alright? And I am ready to talk about some of my favorite things. I get really excited about talking about D&D. So, I want to talk about me being a terrible dungeon master. Which, and most people don't be like, oh, let's talk about the worst things I've done. It's like, yeah, okay. But that's what I want to talk about. So, let's begin talking about that. I started dungeon mastering when I was in middle school. Yeah. 8th grade, exactly. Because no one else was dungeon mastering. Well, they were, but my brother is autistic, and he's not the best at it. He's very closed off emotionally, so he doesn't really get to the points that you want a game to go to. And my other friend, ex-friend, yeah, you know that Chad Thundercock meme? That's him. Anyway, oh boy, I will go into him eventually, but not today. Not today. I need trigger warnings on videos for that. But so yeah, I started dungeon mastering in 8th grade. I started playing in 7th grade. I was playing basic versions of Dungeons and Dragons that me and my brothers made. In 6th grade, we made it ourselves, role-playing games, but they were okay because it wasn't Dungeons and Dragons. Parents didn't like Dungeons and Dragons. But I started dungeon mastering, and we were doing it twice a week after school. So we did it on Wednesdays and Fridays at this local game night that was held at a church. Perfectly normal, I would say. A lot of people went there, and we had our own room to play Dungeons and Dragons in. First they gave us like a small little room that we had a ping pong table we played on. But eventually we got a few people where we actually got a bigger table, and I was terrible. If I look back at it now, I was just like me, just throwing anything I could because I didn't have my own storylines made. I did, but they weren't in the front line. And I had a dungeon master NPC. Because I was an idiot. A DMPC. Don't do that ever. Yeah. The way I handled it is that the two players I had originally, my ex-friend and my brother, they played a rogue and a wizard. So I was like, I need something that can have a bit of tank and do some other things. And whenever he would do something, he would completely be like, no, I didn't do it, that was up to them. So I was like, this is fine. Not really. Eventually I got rid of him as soon as other people came into play. I was like 3 sessions into that character, I'm like, he's not needed anymore, so we have to get rid of him. So, yeah. With that, I also spent some time. I was in a very bad anime phase. Now, I will go through and say, anime is great, alright? But taking anime plots and just dropping them one for one into your game, not the best. And taking plots from books and putting them in without changing them, not the best. So, we started a new game. I was like, you guys can play whatever you want. I will fit it into the game. And so my brother decided he wanted to play someone from Sword Art Online, basically. my ex-friend is like, I'm gonna play a Spartan from Halo. Another ex-friend is like, I'm going to play a werecat from Aragon. And then one friend, he was just like, I'm gonna play an elf. So you can see the wide range of things going on. And I would often have them interact with my gods a lot. Like, I would say Greek level of mythology interact with the gods. So the friend that was playing a werecat had a god, and he was disrespecting the god a lot. So the god gave him a poison apple and said not to eat it. So he's, don't eat it. Just don't eat it. Not telling him why, just saying don't eat it. And so, like, do not eat that apple. And to spite the god, he took a bite of the apple. And so his character died. So he made a new character. The Spartan, on the other end, he had a shotgun, and we had the amount of shells he had. So he was doing a lot of damage, but he still had a limited amount of stuff before he had to go to a knife, which I thought was pretty cool. I would love to play a game like that again. I've been thinking about running a game like that. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. I'm sorry. My brother, whenever his character would die, he would not die in his character's IRL body. We adapted the lore for this character to make it more friendly to our world. In fact, his character eventually fused with his avatar state to make himself an actual one body rather than two. And thus, it was like a mix between Avatar and Sword Art Online. So my brother had this character named Ryo, which that character is now a god on my world. You can ascend to godhood, which he did. He ascended to the god of heroes and wisdom. So he's a very prominent god. He had an NPC with him called Glenn. Glenn was his blacksmith. And they decided that they were going to help this town fight off a demon dragon. Which was the best thing. So, the time they were getting there to go fight off this demon dragon, they came across a few quests. One, the Spartan got his armor just blown off, and he got a new crystal gauntlet to put over that. Next, the elf got a dragon slayer sword. So they were ready. They were so ready for this. The gauntlet was great. It was indestructible. So he was able to use it to dip his hand into acid and whatnot, and through fire, not get hurt. And he was like, "This is great. I love this thing." And so they start going to the town, and then an NPC's like, "Hey, if you go up there, you're going to die." And then they find another NPC who's like, "I know who you guys are. I'm a messenger from the gods. Don't go up there. You'll die." None of them were literate, by the way. All their characters did not have a literacy, except for the NPC. So, as they're walking up the mountain, the first sign they see is a sign that says, "Do not pass." But they don't read it, so they just walk past it. And there's another 5 signs going up the mountain, where they're like, "What does the sign say?" And they're like, "Glenn, tell me what the sign says." And then the NPC, Glenn, he's just like, "Alright, I'll start reading off the signs as we walk past them." And there's various levels of like, "Hey, you're gonna die if you go up here. Death awaits, blah blah blah, all this stuff." And they're like, "Should be fine." After that, they were still heading up the mountain. And we had to end the session there. And my brother talks to me afterward. He's like, "I don't trust this." So this is why my brother doesn't Dungeon Master a lot. He decided to steal the Dragon Slayer sword and take off the gauntlet and just leave everyone to die. And I allowed this, which I should not have done. So he left the other characters to die to this demon dragon. Yeah. So as you can see, we've had some fun times. They opened up, this black demon dragon came out and burned them all to acid. this demon dragon is a huge part of my lore, so he's in the future too. You get to see him later in some other events. But he melts the armor of the Spartan and bites him whole. The elf hops into his mouth with a stick, and he prays. We had rules for concordance where you'd roll percentile to see if gods would listen to you, and the elf did, and the elf was able to be whisked away and reincarnated somewhere else. It was an event. I thought it was great because we got a restart. Everyone had new characters, started level 1, except my brother, who had this same character. But the difference is we weren't playing 3.5 anymore. We were playing Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 at the time, and we switched to my favorite game system, Palladium role-playing fantasy game, which, the more I talk about Palladium role-playing fantasy games, and the more I talk about my past, makes me want to run an actual live play of D&D, but actually have a Palladium. I would love to get one of my friends to do that, and stuff. I was talking to the elf, and I was like, maybe we could do a cyberpunk one. He's like, maybe. We talked about making a Patreon version of that. But for a while, everyone was blaming... well, everyone still blames my brother for that. But the elf man... we're going to call him Shen, because that's his character's name, Shen. About last year, he realized, you know what? No, you were the bad dungeon master. And I said, yes, I was. But it's still funny to blame my brother. The funny stories that come out of Dungeons & Dragons is just hilarious. I've tried to kill Ryo, my brother's character, so many times. In fact, there was a point where all of them were like, we're going to go fight the Overgod. Like, the Overgod, the god of all the gods. So they got everyone together, and they're like, we're going to fight the Overgod. And I said, okay. And I'm like, okay, we go to his place. What happens? And I look at them. I say, he clones himself 86 times, and he summons a black hole in all of you. This is basically that. It was an event and a half. If you ever read the Rift's World books or anything, which I doubt most of you have, he was a fourth dimensional being, so it's not really possible for them to defeat him like that. And so they all died. The problem is, Ryo did not die because he pulled out a piece of paper that I forgot I gave him. Which, it was just really just a spit in my face, because my brother, his character at this time, his character was like he was max level and a few classes. I think he had 3 full character class levels, so he was like level 35, 30, somewhere in the 30s. Anyway, so what happened was he was fighting 4 different lesser gods at the same time, and he got the blessing from another overgod from a different world. He's like, yo, if you die, I promise I'll revive you. Just once, though. And here's some powers of light powers. You can summon sunlight, blah, 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 and have a ray of light. And so I'm like, yep, you all die. And so everyone's laughing. They're like, oh, finally these characters are dead. And so they all start ripping up their character sheets. My brother's looking at his character sheets, and they try to grab it, and he takes it away. He says, I'm not dead. And everyone's confused. And he shows off what he's got, and I just say, you know, so you can't win Dungeons & Dragons, alright? It's a cooperative game. You don't win Dungeons & Dragons. But you win the game if someone looks at you and says, fuck you. That's how you win Dungeons & Dragons. Like, not like an aggressive way, but more like, are you fucking kidding me? Fuck you. And, yeah. My brother's characters lived, and his character still lives. And maybe I'll read the special bit of story I wrote after that, because there's some stuff happening in my world involving that god. If you'd like to listen to that stuff, tell me in the comments. I'll make a short little video about me reading some stuff, maybe. But yeah, this is all I have to say. So we'll just shoot over to the Patreon shoutout. The Patreon shoutout is Sapphire Jam 1536, Acid Zombie, Zara Machiavel, Milo Stout, and Juliana. Thank you all for being patrons at a $5 level. If you want some safe work audios and not safe work audios, including me talking about one of my D&D sessions in the Northern Wilderness on my world, you can join the Patreon. I should be getting some more audios up there this is a nice little ramble. It's fun to do some of these. I should upload more of these. Like, not more than my regular role plays, but this is fine. Alright, have a good day, everyone.